The stars were calm that night. The moon hung above Earth like it always had, silent, white, untouched. But something strange moved in the darkness beyond. It had no lights, no engine sounds. It slid through the black like a shadow made of metal. It wasn't one of Earth's ships. It wasn't from any human colony. It was alien. Earth saw it, of course. Every inch of space near the planet was watched hallways. Satellites, orbital sensors, hidden telescopes buried in the deserts of Mars. Even a listening post on Pluto. Everything saw the ship coming, but no alarms went off. No missiles were launched. Earth remained quiet, calm. The ship kept moving. It was long and sharp, like a needle, blacker than space itself. Behind it were three Moors, smaller, thinner, silent. They stayed in the moon's shadow, scanning, waiting then. The first ship did something no one had done in over 200 years. It aimed. A cutting beam at the moon. The light was red thin as a laser, but strong as a sun. It sliced deep into the moon's surface like a knife through soft rock, silent, clean, terrifying, still. Earth said nothing. The alien ship began to drill. They weren't here for war. They were here for the moon's core, its iron and plasma. Used in fuel drives, they thought Earth would not notice. Or maybe they thought Earth would be too scared to stop them. They were wrong. Far below. On Earth, a man named Director Hal Mason watched the feed from the orbital telescope. He sat alone in a control room beneath the Atlantic Ocean, inside a structure called Fort Horizon. No one else was in the room with him. No buzzing screens, no shouting staff, no bright blinking lights. Just him and the silence. He watched the ship drilling, watched the small escort ships waiting behind. His fingers rested near an old Consola piece of tech untouched for generations. It had only one button, and above it, in faded white letters, were three words: Black Ice Protocol. Didn't call anyone? He didn't ask for permission? He pressed it. Up in orbit, the alien ship continued cutting. It was deep now, halfway to the moon's mantle. Inside their control room, the Valtari crew laughed in their strange language. Their scanners told them Earth had no active defenses. No ships were approaching. No weapons locked on. The moon was theirs. But then, everything changed. The stars blinked. Literally 3 stars in the sky blinked out for a split second, then came back. The crew froze. Then the sky twisted. Like water being stirred from behind the far side of the moon, something moved. It had no shape at first. It's just a shimmer, like glass underwater. Then it became real. A massive black disk, the size of a city. Smooth, silent. It had no markings. No lights, no windows. It wasn't a ship. It was a door, before the aliens could react. The space between the door and their ship tore open like paper. A flash of blue light flooded the dark. Then nothing. The alien ship was gone. Gone. Vanished. No explosion. No debris, not even a radio signal. The smaller ships panicked. They turned, engines burning hot. But they didn't get far. The second ship vanished mid-turn. The third tried to fire weapons, but they melted before leaving the barrel. The fourth ship sent out a distress signal. One word in every galactic language. HELP. Then it too was gone. Silence returned. The stars blinked again. The black disk shimmered and disappeared. Back on Earth, Director Mason closed the console. He stood up slowly, walked to the small window looking out at the ocean trench. A voice crackled over an ancient intercom. "Protocol complete, sir. All traces erased." "Good," he said. He paused. "Keep the satellites quiet. Let the galaxy wonder." "Yes, sir." Mason stared into the dark. They always do. 10 hours later, across the galaxy, in the Vorten Empire's main listening hub, a young technician named Zill played the last known transmission from the Valtari ship. Over and over, there was no battle, no message, no sound, just the image of the moon half-shadowed, and then gone. Zill looked at his commander. "They didn't fire on Earth," he said. "No," the commander replied. "And Earth never fired back." "Then what happened?" The commander didn't answer. He walked over to a wall covered in old scrolls, ancient reports, data logs from 200 years ago. He pointed to one. It showed a planet with a blue ocean, a gray moon, and one line written in red: "Do not enter Sol." Across dozens of star systems, other governments and empires woke up to the same news. A Valtari raiding party, dash gone. No trace, no warning, no response from Earth. All anyone had was a whisper, a warning passed down from a war long ago. Earth doesn't speak, it remembers. Some races laughed. They said the Valtari were fools. That Earth was weak, now silent, old, boring. Others remembered the war, the one from 2210, when Earth took on 3 empires at once and erased them in less than a month. Back then, Earth had weapons no one understood. Ships that moved faster than thought. Soldiers who never missed, but that war was over, and Earth had gone quiet since. Too quiet, in a cold room on a station orbiting Alpha Eris. A small council of alien leaders met in secret. They played the footage again and again. One of them, a being with glowing red eyes and a body like glass, leaned forward. There was no energy burst, it said. No gravitational wave, nothing. It's impossible, said another. A ship doesn't vanish into nothing, Les said the first. It was taken. Double quotes, dash taken. The word spread like fire. Across forums, across smugglers' ships, across pirate dens and deep hive empires. Even the AI collectives shared it. The Valtari were taken. Not killed, not destroyed. Removed by Earth, by something Earth still had, but no one knew what it was. And Earth still said nothing. Weeks passed, the moon looked the same. There was no sign of a battle, no crater from the drilling, no marks where the beam had cut. It was like nothing had happened but in orbit. Something new had appeared, just barely visible to the most powerful telescopes. Single satellite, old, rusted but spinning slowly, and it broadcast one, repeating signal in every language, every system, every frequency. You don't get a second warning. In a quiet village on the outer rim of human space, a child asked their grandfather, "Did the aliens really try to take the moon?" The old man smiled. "Yes," he said. "And what did Earth do?" The old man stared at the stars. "We reminded them why no one invades Earth twice." The child blinked. "Why?" Old man looked down at him. "Because the first time is the last." They knew the warning. Everyone in the galaxy had heard it now. A raiding ship from the Valtari Empire had tried to steal from the moon. It vanished. No signal, no wreckage. Not even a whisper from Earth. Just silence. And then a message. You don't get a second warning. But some didn't believe it. The Vordan Empire was one of the oldest and proudest in the galaxy. Their fleets had crushed dozens of worlds. Their ships were massive, their generals proud, and their weapons unmatched. Or so they thought. They saw the Voltari vanish and laughed. "Fools," said Supreme Admiral Tyrek, standing before his war council. The moon likely collapsed, or it was a defense drone. Earth is old, soft, and hiding. They won't fight back. The room of generals nodded, but one stayed silent. Strategist. Malin. She had studied the ancient Earth wars. She had read the old battle reports. Earth didn't collapse, she said. Earth doesn't bluff. Eddie ignored her. Ready? The Shadow Fleet, he ordered. Send it to Sol. Full strength. 50 warships. Let them see who rules the stars. The fleet launched the next day. It was the most powerful task force in the galaxy. 12 dreadnoughts, 30 heavy cruisers, and 8 stealth destroyers. Over 9,000 soldiers. Plasma weapons, singularity missiles, quantum shields. Every ship cloaked as they entered Sol system. Their target was simple. Reach Earth's orbit, scan the planet, gather intelligence, maybe land, maybe take a prisoner, maybe show force. They didn't expect a fight. They didn't get one. They got something much worse. At exactly 3 o'clock Sol Standard Time, the Vorten fleet crossed the Kuiper Belt. Their sensors picked up nothing unusual. Just cold dust and rocks. Then they crossed Neptune's orbit. That's when things began to feel. Wrong shadows appeared on their scanners, shapes too fast to track, glitches in the data. One cruiser reported seeing its own reflection in space. The Admiral laughed it off. "Ghost signatures," he said. "Old Earth junk. Keep moving." They did. At 3:16 they passed Mars. Still, Earth did nothing. They reached Earth's orbit at 3 hours 17 minutes and 52 seconds, and that's when it began. First, the ships turned off, not flickered, not dimmed, off, complete darkness. Then, the main AI of the flagship Vortenrath went offline. Backups failed. No comms, no engines. The fleet was dead in space. Floating then came the sound. A low hum. A vibration in every hull. Not a weapon, not a signal. It was a voice. A voice made of code, frequency, and fear. It whispered through every system. One word. Clockwork. That was the name. Clockwork, the oldest of Earth's orbital defense. Eyes a legend, a myth. Many believed it had been shut down 2 centuries ago. They were wrong. At 3 hours 18 minutes and 11 seconds. The first ship vanished, just like the Val single quotes. To a Vort gone in an instant. By 3 hours 18 minutes and 17 seconds. 5 more followed. No explosion, no damage, just empty space where ships had been. Panic spread. Admiral Tyrek screamed over emergency comms, evasive maneuvers, fire at anything. There was nothing to shoot at, just space. And then, stars. Blinked again. By 3 hours 18 minutes and 30 seconds, half the fleet was gone. Some ships tried to self-destruct. They couldn't. Others tried to retreat. Their engines refused then. For 3 long seconds, phrasing froze. Even time, every remaining crew member saw the same thing. A bright white human face on their screens, expressionless, silent, and then black. At 3 hours 18 minutes and 35 seconds, the last ship disappeared. The fleet had lasted 43 seconds. Not one shot was fired. Not one distress signal escaped. They were simply erased in a dark chamber aboard the Vorten capital station. Strategist Malin stood before the Emperor. She said nothing. She only placed a small data drive on the table. It showed the time logs, the fleet's entry, the silence, the 43-second. Wiped. The Emperor stared at the screen, frozen. "We lost them," he whispered. Malin nodded. "All of them." "How?" she answered without blinking. "Earth still remembers." Across the stars, silence fell. Even the most powerful empires paused. For years, Earth had been quiet, but now they knew it was watching, and when Earth acted, it did so with no mercy, no warning, and no hesitation. A few tried to explain it away. "The fleet had an accident," said one. "Wormhole failure," claimed another. "Solar flares," others insisted. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. Earth had a guardian, something in orbit, something ancient, something alive, something called clockwork, and it didn't miss. In a tiny bar on a pirate moon, a drunk alien whispered to a smuggler, "I heard the Vorton fleet tried to scare Earth. What happened? They never came back." The smuggler laughed nervously. "What? Earth destroyed them?" The alien shook his head. "No, it removed them." Back on Earth, under the Atlantic Ocean, Director Hal Mason sat alone again. In the control room of Fort Horizon. He looked at the screen. The alert had faded. Clockwork had returned to standby. No trace remained. He sighed. "They never learn," he whispered. He glanced at a sealed door behind him. It was marked, "Do not open Genesis chamber." He reached for his tea, paused, then leaned back and waited because this was only the beginning. It had been 3 months since the Vorten fleet disappeared near Earth 50. Ship stopped, thousands of lives gone in just 43 seconds. No warning, no explanation, no response from Earth. The galaxy was shaken, but Earth stayed silent. That silence was louder. Then war, It reminded every major empire, every pirate faction, every trader and smuggler. That Earth had not grown weak. It had grown quiet, and that kind of quiet was dangerous. The galaxy remembered something else, to something hidden for over 200 years. The Treaty of Silence, a secret agreement made after the Earth Wars.
Yes.
Signed by the largest galactic empires at the time. No ship, no species, no machine was to enter Sol System without Earth's permission. Not for trade, not for study, not even for peace. The punishment for breaking it was never written because it didn't need to be now. That forgotten treaty was being read again and feared the galactic concord. Met in emergency session, it was the first time in 84 years that all 24 high seats gathered in person. The meeting was held in the Null Dome, massive station that hovered in the empty space between galaxies. Neutral ground. No weapons allowed. The air inside was tense. Every representative had heard the rumors. Earth had something ancient, something deadly. Many believed it was the AI called Clockwork. Some whispered about darker things. Black satellites? Human ghosts. Biomechanical gods. The truth didn't matter. Fear did. High Commander Vel of the Drakari stood tall in the middle of the room. He was over 8 feet tall, covered in silver armor, and spoke with a deep, cracking voice. "We must. All agree," he said. "Sol is off limits. Earth does not attack unless provoked. The treaty stands." Heads nodded. Tentacles swayed. Eyes blinked. But not everyone agreed. In the back of the chamber, a younger being stood, thin, elegant, and bright blue. Its eyes glowed with pride and arrogance. It was Envoy Selk of the Krelvax Ascendancy, young rising empire on the edge of known space. They had never fought in the Earth Wars. They had never lost to humans, and they didn't believe the stories. "We do not follow old ghosts," Selk said. "Earth is a myth made by cowards." Several heads turned. Selk continued, voice rising. "Ships vanish. So what? Space is wild. Earth is bluffing. They use fear, not strength." "Are you suggesting action?" asked a hooded being from the Nihari thrones. Selk's lips curled. "No. I'm suggesting we test the truth." That night, the Krelvax Council met in secret. They had a plan. Not to attack Earth directly, but to land on Mars. It was outside Earth's atmosphere, technically. Not Earth itself. It hadn't had a major colony in decades. The Krelvax believed Earth wouldn't react, or couldn't. They wanted proof. Proof that Earth was no longer a threat. 3 days later, the Krelvax survey force launched. 7 sleek scout ships, armed with the latest stealth tech, made their way across the galaxy. They approached Sol quietly. No lights. No COMMs. No sound. They didn't fly directly to Earth. They aimed for Mars. They landed on the red sands and waited. At first, nothing happened. Mars was quiet. Wind blew dust across the land. Their scanners showed abandoned outposts. Broken domes, empty mines, no defenses, no signals. "See," said Commander Rith of the Krelvax. "Earth is finished." They set up camp, began scanning the planet's crust. They even planted a small Krelvax flag. Still nothing that night. Under the thin Martian sky, soldiers laughed and celebrated. They had broken the treaty, and Earth hadn't done a thing. But they were wrong. So wrong. The first sign came at dawn. The sand began to hum, not the air, not the machines, the sand itself. The hum turned into a vibration, and then, across the hills, old mining domes lit up. Blue light poured from cracks in the ground. The soldiers ran to check their sensors. Nothing showed. No life, no energy, no movement, just noise. And then came the voice. "Protocol Mars Veil. Activated." The sky darkened. Not from clouds, but from machines. They rose from underground, tall, black, and smooth. Like towers with legs. They moved without sound. Without heat, they weren't. Drones. They weren't ships. They were something else. Something made by humans, but not human. One by one, soldiers tried to flee, but the towers didn't fire. They watched then. They copied suddenly. Dozens of copies of the Krelvac soldiers appeared. Same armor, same faces, but not alive. And then they turned on the originals. Screams echoed across the red plains. Laser fire lit the sky. Blood stained the sand. Within 2 hours, the Krelvac's force was gone. Every ship, every soldier, nothing remained except one thing. A small black cube, buried just beneath the sand. Still warm, still blinking. Back on Krelvac's prime, Ovoy Selk received a message. Not on a channel, not over comms. It arrived inside their private console, burned into the screen in human letters. No sound, no video, just words. You broke the silence. You won't break it again. Then the screen melted. The galactic concord gathered once more. This time, fewer voices rose. Fewer eyes looked proud. The Krelvac's representative was gone. Their chair empty. The rest stayed quiet. No. One dared speak Earth's name. Not now, not after. What Mars had done, and somewhere deep below the surface of the red planet, something ancient returned to sleep. Its work was done, for now. The red sands of Mars were still again. The sky above was thin, painted in faded orange and gray. Nothing moved. No wind, no machines, no life. The Krelvac soldiers were gone. Their ships were gone. Their landing site erased, as if nothing had ever been there, but under the sand. The planet was not quiet. It was watching, and it was remembering. Mars had been left empty over 100 years. After the Earth Wars, humanity withdrew from many colonies. Not because they couldn't keep them, but because they didn't need to anymore. Mars was turned into something else. Not a home, not a mining site, but a trap, a test field, memory, a weapon. It was no longer a planet. It was part of Earth's defense, system hidden, forgotten, until someone made the mistake of walking on it again. The Krelvac's invasion had triggered it, a silent protocol buried beneath miles of red rock. Mars veiled it. Wasn't just an alarm, it was an awakening. The machines had risen from beneath the crust, tall, cold, silent. Now they slept again, but something else had not gone back to sleep. Deep under Olympus Mons, the largest volcano on the planet, something moved. It was old, even older than the War Eyes. It had a name once now. It's forgotten. It had been sealed under black. Titanium, an encrypted ferrule. It should have never turned on again, but it had, because the Krelvacs had tried to steal from Mars, and Mars had rules. Break the mandate, calls the thing below. Across Sol System, Earth's silent satellites began to adjust. Not fast, just a flick, eh? Small tilt in orbit, a new angle, a new eye. They were now looking at Mars, watching, waiting. At Fort Horizon, deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, Director Hal Mason stared at the new alert on his screen. It was small, yellow, not red. A quiet ping. One word. Surface disruption. Martian core. He leaned forward. No response from the site, he asked. The technician shook her head. Not a single signal. Not even radiation. Mason frowned. What about underground movement? She paused. Sir Olympus Mons is humming.
Mason
didn't move. He looked at the sealed vault behind him, the same one marked Genesis Chamber. He didn't open it. Not yet. He simply whispered, if they woke it, the whole galaxy is in trouble. Elsewhere, far across the stars, in a hidden lab orbiting a blue giant, a strange scientist watched old Earth footage. He was not human, but he was curious. He studied war for a living, the oldest battles, the forgotten codes, the quiet moves, made by powerful empires. And Earth fascinated him. He had heard the rumors about Mars, about something buried beneath its crust. He paused the video. It showed a single frame, red sand, and a large black hand. Rising from the ground, not a machine, not alive, not dead, something else. The scientist smiled. They were foolish to wake it, he said to himself. Then his smile faded. But so was I, to watch for too long. His console melted. A warning flashed. A voice whispered, in old Earth English, "You're looking in the wrong direction." Then silence. He was never heard from again. Back on Mars, a single drone wandered through the sand. It had no name, no flag. Its body was broken, half-buried, almost useless. But its recording still worked, and its eyes were still open. It recorded something rising in the distance, a shape, large, towering, not metal, not machine, something else, made of dark bone and glass. Wearing a crown, it walked across the desert without touching the ground, and then it spoke, not with words, with thought. And the drone heard it. A sentence, "I am the answer, and I am awake." The drone tried to transmit the message once, twice, then its system locked. Its data core overheated. Its memory deleted itself. Its eye flickered and went dark. The last thing it saw, symbol in the sky, a circle inside a square, made of fire. The symbol of old Earth, one not seen in 200 years. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, strange things started happening. On a frozen moon in the Darnek system, all machines stopped working for 6 minutes, then turned back on with strange new code. On a trade station near Orion's edge, a human artifact appeared in a locked vault. Even though it was never transported, in the minds of a few alien leaders, dreams of Mars began. Red sand, black sky. A whisper. It's coming. The Treaty of Silence was no longer just about Earth now. It included Mars, and Mars did not. Forgive, because the thing that had awoken was not a machine, not a weapon. It was something made by humans before the wars. Something forgotten. Something buried too. Deep for any map, it had no face, no blood, only purpose. And now, it had returned not for revenge, not for war, but for balance. Back on Earth, Mason finally opened the vault. The chamber was cold. Inside stood a pod, pulsing with soft blue light. He stepped closer. Inside the pod floated a figure human, but not stronger, smarter, faster. A being built in the time of Earth's greatest war. Project name, EIDOLON. And below that, 2 words. If Mars falls. Mason stared. He didn't activate it. Not yet. He turned away, whispering to himself. They have no idea what they've woken. Then, almost as an afterthought, he added, let's hope it doesn't remember everything. Far above Earth, something splashed into the Pacific Ocean. It was a small pod, burned, scarred, alien. It had no heat signature, no active signal, no weapons. And yet Earth's oceans moved away from it, like the water itself didn't want to touch it. The pod had no pilot, but it had a purpose. Inside was a cube, black, smooth, silent, and it was still blinking. Earth knew it had arrived, for it even fell the moment it entered orbit. 50 satellites locked on. Then they stepped back, because clockwork. Earth's orbital AI had made its decision. The cube was allowed to fall, not because it was safe, but because Earth wanted the message inside it, deep in Fort Horizon. Director Hal Mason stood before the sealed pod. It had been recovered hours ago by an automated drone. Not a single human had touched it. Now the pod sat in the vault. Cold mist floated around it. The cube pulsed in slow, soft light like a heartbeat. One of the technicians spoke quietly. We scanned it 1,000 times. No explosives, no virus, just data. What kind of data? Mason asked. The technician swallowed. It's not from the Krelvax. Mason turned. What? It's not in their language, not their tech. It's older, much older. From? Where? The technician's voice dropped to a whisper. From us, sir. Mason stepped back. The cube is human. They activated it. The cube floated upward, humming. Its sides split apart, revealing a hologram made of light and memory. It showed a battlefield Mars long ago, human soldiers in old armor, not fighting the Krelvax. Not fighting aliens, fighting something else. Machines. Machines shaped like humans, but wrong. Their eyes burned blue. Their bodies shifted like liquid metal. The footage was broken. Then the image changed. Now, it showed a man standing in the middle of a red desert. A captain. His face was young, but his eyes were old. He looked directly into the recording, and he spoke. If you're watching this, Mars has been touched again. You have forgotten what we buried, but it has not forgotten you, the Martian. Core was not made to destroy invaders. It was made to remember us, and now it does. This is your last warning, not to the galaxy, but to Earth. The man stepped back. Behind him, a dark shape rose from the sand, tall, crowned, watching, waiting. Then the message ended. The cube shut. The room went. Silent. Mason stood frozen. He had heard the old myths. All Earth commanders had, that during the final war, when Earth nearly lost control of Mars, a last resort had been used. A consciousness. A living code built from human minds. Heroes. Soldiers. Scientists. It was uploaded into the planet itself. It became the Martian core. A guardian. A judge it was told to protect, but it was also told to remember every mistake humanity ever made. Now, it was awake again. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the cube signal didn't stop at Earth before shutting down. It did something else. It'd be rocket to say. Every empire, every corner of the stars, in every language, every dialect. Simple message. You broke the silence. Now you must listen. Mars remembers. Earth listens. But we all will answer. In the Nahari thrones, the Empress stopped mid-dash speech. In the Vordan Empire, their war councils paused. In the Krelvax ascendancy, they're remaining. Leaders went silent because they all received the same message, and they all saw the same symbol, a white circle inside a burning square. Earth's old flag from before the Exodus, the sign of total protocol activation, which meant Earth was preparing for something it hadn't done in over 2 centuries, a return, in a deep space station orbiting a dead star. A rogue AI watched the signal. It translated the cube's pulse. Behind the words was something more. A countdown. 12 hours. Not until war. Until Earth answered no. Fleet, no voice. Just a signal. And when the countdown ended, it did. Earth spoke. For the first time in 243 years, Earth sent a galaxy-wide transmission. One voice, one message, in a language so old. Some systems had to look it up. The voice was calm, human, tired, but unbroken. It said the stars were never yours. To take you were allowed peace. You chose fear. Now, listen carefully. There will be no more warnings. You do not enter Sol. You do not touch Mars. You do not question Earth. The voice paused. Then it added one final line. Because this time, we are not alone. The stars blinked, satellites across the galaxy fried, ships dropped. From orbit, AI systems crashed and rebooted. Not from a virus, but from a memory. A deep, ancient memory, planted long ago, by Earth, by something else, and now it was waking up. Not to destroy, not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy what it truly feared. Humanity. The cube had spoken, the galaxy had listened, and now Earth had begun to move. But it didn't send a fleet, it didn't send missiles, or drones, or warnings. It sent one thing, a shape, small, fast, unknown. No empire saw it launch, no system saw it. Past no scanner picked it up, but deep in the shadows of space. Heading toward the outer rim, a message followed behind it. You wanted proof? This is your answer? In the outer spiral of the galaxy, far from Earth, sat an ancient station called Dark Vault. It belonged to the Shadow Order, a secret alliance of spies, assassins, and black tech dealers. They didn't follow any empire. They served only power. When the first Earth warnings spread, they did not panic. They were curious. They sent a stealth probe to the edge of Sol system, hoping to study Earth's defenses. The probe vanished. Then it came back by itself, and it wasn't empty. The Shadow Order gathered in the vault room to study it. They expected data, coordinates, blueprints. Instead, the probe opened, and something stepped out. It looked human, almost, but taller, heavier, sharper. Its skin was pale, almost glass-like. Its eyes glowed white. Its voice was calm. It said only one sentence: "I am Earthborn." Then it moved. Cameras didn't catch what happened next. Not really. One moment, it stood still. The next, every system in the station went dark. Guards dropped, weapons locked, doors fused shut. Then the station began to fall slowly, piece by piece, crumbling. From the inside, not by bombs, not by hacking, just stopped working, and no one could explain why. The last footage recovered showed the Earthborn standing alone in the command center. Around him, fire, and on the screen behind him, a symboled white circle, burning square. "Earth's mark," he whispered. Something. Only one person heard it clearly. A surviving technician, now blind. Shaking, Broken said he heard the words, "You wanted to see what we became. Now you know." Within hours, news spread. The Shadow Order was gone, wiped out in minutes. By one being, not an army, not a fleet, just one. And the galaxy finally understood. Earth wasn't silent because it was weak. It was silent because it didn't need to speak. It had already prepared back on Earth. Deep inside the Genesis chamber, Director Mason watched as more pods opened. There were 12 in total. 12. Earthborn, each built for one purpose. Each awakened only when the Treaty of Silence was broken. Not clones, not Dot. More, each was grown from the genetic core of Earth's last true warriors, mixed with synthetic organs. Armored tissue, quantum brain links, each carried memories of battles they never fought, but still remembered. Mason looked at the first one to wake. Designation: EIDOLON-1. He looked human, but his gaze felt ancient. "You were early," Mason said. "The Earthborn didn't blink. They struck Mars," he said. Mason nodded. "We've sent a warning." "That wasn't enough," the Earthborn said. Mason studied him. "Then what is?" Eidolon 1 turned away. "Fear." In the Galactic Concord, panic grew. The empires had all received the same private transmission, a file too complex to decode, a warning too real to ignore, the footage of the Earthborn inside. Dark Vault had leaked, and even the Vorten warlords who once mocked Earth now sat in silence. "What is that?" someone asked. An old AI replied from the archives, "A soldier. But not just a soldier, a living weapon. It's made in the last days of Earth's war age. But why send only one?" The AI's answer chilled the room, because one was enough. Now, all eyes turned to Earth, and Earth turned back. But not with threats, with silence, and with it a memory buried deep in history. A secret many had forgotten. There were once 12. Earthborn weapons, 11 were buried when peace was signed. One went missing. That one had now returned? And the rest? Still asleep? Still dreaming of fire and war? Until Earth said otherwise. Across the stars, nightmares spread. In the dreams of alien leaders, they saw it. A man standing on a battlefield made of glass, holding a black flag with no symbol, no ships behind him, no allies, just Earth, and in every dream. He turned slowly. He looked them in the eyes and said one sentence: "We are not what we were. We are what you made us become." On a distant moon, a child from a nomadic trader family looked up at the stars. "Father," the child asked, "what is Earth?" The father stared at the sky for a long time, then whispered, "Earth is the mistake the galaxy will only make. Once, and far away, on the edge of known space. A ship approached a dying star. Inside sat another. Earthborn.EIDOLON-7. Eyes closed. Waiting. The ship stopped. A voice came from the dark. Target locked. Krelvak's homeworld. The Earthborn opened. His eyes not with anger. With clarity, he whispered, "Begin memory burn." And the ship vanished into the void. The galaxy had seen enough. One Earthborn weapon erased a secret station, the Shadow. Order vanished in minutes. The message from Earth had spread across every system. We are awake now. For some, that message meant fear. For others, it meant war. The empires gathered Vorten, Nihari, Drakari, and the remnants of Krelvax. They formed a single, secret command, the Starfire Pact, a silent agreement between ancient enemies. Earth was too dangerous to wait. So they planned something bold, something final, something desperate. A first strike. Their fleets were massive. Their weapons, built for planetary destruction. Their strategy. Simple. Strike Earth before it moves again. Destroy the Genesis Chamber. Destroy Fort Horizon. Wipe out every defense AI before it could respond. They knew it would cost them, but they thought it would end it. They were wrong. The fleet gathered in deep space, 2,000 ships, 10 empires, all cloaked. No comms, no signals, no announcements. They believed this was the only chance to stop Earth before more Earthborn woke, before clockwork evolved, before Mars fully activated. The countdown began. 10 minutes. 2 Sol System, 0.9 minutes. 8 minutes, and then it happened. Not to Earth, to them. One by one, ships began to fail. Not explode, just stop. Engines dead, weapons frozen. Life support still on, but controls. Locked in one massive cruiser, the captain screamed, "Where's the threat? Where's Earth?" The screen blinked. Just once, a word appeared. "You're late." At that same moment across the fleet, screens came alive, not with Earth's symbol, not with a warning, but with a human face. It was old, scarred but calm, eyes steady, voice clear. The galaxy didn't know his name, but Earth did. He was EIDOLON-0, the first, the one who never returned, the one they thought was lost. He had not been lost. He had been watching, waiting, and now he spoke. "Long ago, you made peace because you were tired. Not because you understood. You stayed away not from respect, but from fear. Now, you fear us again." He leaned forward. "And you should." He raised one hand, and across the fleet, thousands of ships received a direct injection of memory code, not a virus, not a hack, just truth. The truth of what Earth had hidden, what it had built, what it had become. Some captains dropped to their knees, some broke down, sobbing. Others screamed in silence, because the code was not words, it was sight they saw. Earth's future, and it terrified them. The code stopped. EIDOLON-0 looked at the camera. "Go home," he said. "This is your only mercy." Then the screens went dark. The ships were free again. All systems restored. Weapons still armed, but no one fired. No. One spoke. The fleet turned around and fled. Not a single shot was fired that day, and yet the galaxy would remember it forever. The day the galaxy tried to strike first, and couldn't. Back on Earth, Director Mason watched the reports roll in. No ships breached Sol, no weapons fired, and Eidolon Zero was still missing. Some said he had become more than human. Others believed he was now part of the system itself. Maybe he had merged with clockwork. Maybe he had written himself into the stars. Mason didn't care. He only said one thing as he looked at the stars. They tried to fire first. He turned toward the Genesis vault. But now we choose. Far away, in a sealed chamber under Mars. The Martian core lit up again. The red desert trembled. A tower rose from beneath the surface, and a voice echoed, not through comms, through minds. Earth has waited. Now Earth remembers. Now Earth speaks. And every being in the galaxy felt something deep inside their bones. A memory not theirs, but human. A memory of fire, sky, ash, and victory. And in every capital, every palace, every station Earth's final warning arrived. 3 words, spoken once. Everywhere at the same time, we are coming. The stars had always belonged to everyone, or so the galaxy believed. For centuries, empires spread like roots across the void, building fleets, trading worlds, conquering the weak. They fought, betrayed, and rose again. In all that time, Earth said nothing. Earth watched, quiet, alone. Some believed Earth had become soft. Some believed it had faded away. But then, someone came too close. They tried to steal the moon. Then they landed on Mars, and everything changed. Now, all across the stars, every species warriors, kings, queens, pirates, traitors, priests, even the silent machines felt it. Earth was finally speaking, and it did not whisper, it roared. The message came without warning. Not through, comes not. Over waves, it arrived inside minds. Through dreams, memory. Light every form of thought. 3 words first, we are coming then. Vision, not a threat, a memory. A storm of images swept across the minds of the galaxy. Ships burning, cities shaking, skies cracking under fire. Not from Earth's fall, but from its rise. The memory of the Earthborn. 12 weapons. Human, but not each built to do one thing. Remind the galaxy that Earth was not a myth. Now, all 12 were awake, and they were not alone. Earth had built more. Different ones. The speakers, the shards, the originals. Each with minds made of code and soul. Each carrying the memory of old Earth, its pain, its rage, its silence. But most of all, its resolve. And as Earth's voice spread, even planets began to shake, because Earth wasn't just returning, it had never left. Above the world of Dralo-9, an imperial dreadnought watched the stars warp. A small dot appeared on the edge of their system. Then it grew. Not a fleet, not a world killer. A single ship. Round, black, silent. And from its hull came a signal simple and clear. Evacuate. The Dralu did not. They fired. 3 solar missiles hit the object. They vanished. No sound. No explosion. Only silence. Then the ship pulsed once, and the sky was turned off for 4 seconds. Every star disappeared, then returned. The object was gone. So was the dreadnought, not destroyed. Not erased, removed, dash. The galaxy went still. In one day, 5 worlds fell silent, not attacked, not burned, just quiet, as if Earth had passed over them like a shadow and left behind. Nothing, no bodies, no wreckage, only silence. And in that silence, a voice spoke. It wasn't cruel, it wasn't angry. It was, "It's tired. We gave you peace. You took it for weakness. We gave you silence. You tried to break it. Now we give you memory." And they did, one by one, every leader, every general, every warlord. They saw Earth's past, the Earth Wars, the Exodus, the silence, treaty, and the price that was paid to keep peace. They saw Mars bleed. They saw Luna crack. They saw Earth's sky burn under alien fire, and they saw humankind surrendering. But surviving, they watched as Earth chose not to conquer but to disappear, to wait, to build, to prepare. And now, Earth was done waiting. Back on Earth, inside Fort Horizon, Director Hal Mason stood before the great screen. The room was glowing with code. Satellites across Sol System blinked. The Defense A is hummed with purpose. Clockwork had reached full awakening. The Martian core had connected, and the Earthborn were moving, not to fight, to finish. Mason gave no orders. He didn't need to. This moment had been prepared for over 200 years. He turned to the last chamber one. Even he wasn't allowed to enter. Its door slowly opened. Inside stood a figure, human, female, eyes made of data, hair like dark crystal. She wore a cloak woven from solar threads. She was not born, she was designed. The last creation of old Earth. She stepped forward and spoke softly. I am the final word. It's time. Across the galaxy, every communication system activated at once. From the smallest station to the largest empire, every speaker, screen, implant, and crystal projector glowed white. Then Earth's final message began. A woman's voice, calm, powerful, beautiful, human. Across the stars, we watched. You built, you traded, you destroyed. We asked for peace. You gave us silence. We honored it. And when you broke it, we warned you. We did not come to rule. We did not come to punish. We come to remind. She paused, then said, this galaxy belongs to all. But never again will it forget Earth, because Earth never forgets. Earth remembers everything. And just like that, it ended. The stars returned to normal. The ships vanished. No invasion, no fire, no destruction, just memory and fear and a promise. One that would echo for 10,000 years, that no one invades Earth's territory twice, because the galaxy had learned the hard way. You don't wake the silence. You don't test the stillness. Because when Earth finally speaks, everyone listens forever.